Welcome everybody once again to a Monday market analysis prep video. Now, today we are going to be looking at gold from a technical perspective. Not much has happened in the sense of fundamentals, like only a few things, but it's basically the same thing we've been talking about every single analysis session, but I'll get into that in just a second. So let's get into the technicals first here. Looking at gold on the daily time frame, we can see that overall we are more on the bullish side because as you guys remember, over here on this side, we were more on the bearish side from an intraday perspective as price was making its way towards the downside here. But as you can see, we did reach this high area of interest here, and we had a very strong bounce. I say it's a area of interest because you're gonna see on the 4 hour, just around these areas over here, how price, basically how you saw over here, here, and now this time again, price above these 32.10s more or less. Like I said, we'll look at that on the 1 hour. You can see that price did have a lot of strong buyers off of this area, right? So let's go ahead and actually dive into the levels that we want to mark off. I just wanted to give a quick reminder of the higher time frames and what they look like. So again, gold, higher time frames on the bullish side. We're going to go ahead and mark this off as our daily resistance, and then we have our daily support. Our daily support is going to be around the 32.90s. Our daily resistance will be around the 33.50s, we're going to call it there, just to round up the number because we're going to make it a lot more precise here on the 4 hour. On the 4 hour, it looks like the 32.90s looks good so far. This resistance here as well, this looks good. So let's go ahead and actually add this new support on the 4 hour, which is around the 33.33. So you can see price created this support where price has rejected on the 4 hour and then created the support right here with this candle confirmation for us. So let's go ahead and actually dive onto the 1 hour and make this a lot more precise. So on the 1 hour, I would want to leave this marked off right here, where as you can see, this is where area has the most reactions, just around the 32.90s, where price clearly has a ton of reactions, a ton of buyers stepping in at this area. So we know that this is going to be our area of interest here on the 1 hour. But more closely looking at price here, we have the 32.25s. Now you see how we went from the daily to the 4 to the 1 hour. In each time frame, it gives us a little bit of a different picture. I like to always go doing that top-down analysis because I can make my levels a lot more precise. So instead of just leaving it like a random, not a random, but instead of just like leaving it at any place where you put it on the daily time frame, if you go to the 1 hour, you will be able to see that you, for example, rather than having this very big zone that we have here, which is, if you measure it, pretty large. It's around 150 pips. Rather than just leaving it like that, we can make it more precise and it'll be, sorry about that. It'll be the same idea, same level pretty much, but we're making it more precise on the intraday time frames so that way we can be aware exactly where we got those strong market reactions. So again, this resistance around the 33.60s, that's going to be one, but I do also want to be on the lookout where we have this gap here where kind of price is reacting at the moment. Prices, if we can get above that area, then we know we have more stronger buyers. But now to talk about the trade ideas. So we have our top-down analysis. We're pretty much bullish on all time frames, including the 1 hour, because as you can see on the 1 hour, I'll break it down for you guys so that way you guys can see it very clearly what I'm talking about. Again, here on the intraday time frames, a lot more on the bearish side. This is where price created this high before our last low. I say last because this is the low that was created. Again, this was the high, the low. Price then goes to make equal highs, but then fails to make any new lows. And after price fails to make those new lows, that's where from last week's analysis session, I was telling you guys, if we do not continue to make new lows, obviously we won't continue bearish. If we don't stay below these 32.50s, then we won't continue bearish. So we had to be on the lookout for price bouncing off of that area of interest, which again, I'll show you guys right here, right here, right here. Is this area of interest. Once price got above that resistance, again, that last high point of interest, that's where price, as you can see, now we started to shift that market structure and we started to turn a lot more bullish. So I'll change the color here so you guys can see it. Again, above that area of resistance, price turned a lot more bullish, high, low. Now we have highs, now we have lows. So we know that this is the last low that price created. So we know that below this area, that's where from an intraday perspective, we could be more on the bearish side, right? Anything above that, we'll be on the lookout for further buys following that overall bias, which again, to me, unless you guys have anything to say, I believe that gold is more bullish from a technical perspective. So we have these trade ideas. Again, if we do end up coming back all the way down to the 3280s, that would be a strong area of interest where we could see more buyers stepping in. If price does not do that deep pullback, we have also price sensitivity area at 3225, where we could be on the lookout for further buys and then be on the lookout for further buys above these two highs, the 3250s and the 3360s. 3350s and 3360s. Sorry, I apologize. Those would be, in my opinion, the best areas to be on the lookout for further buys. In terms of adaptions, or because I know everybody here has their own trading style, if you're a scalper and you see price, let's say for example, rejecting these highs and trading below the support, I would personally be on the lookout for those sells to potentially correct some of this strong upside momentum that we had and possibly be retesting these areas of interest where again we can be on the lookout for further bounces and continue going with that bullish bias, or see if price is going to be breaking those lows and closing below those lows, and then we can be on the lookout for some sells below that area. Again, we have plenty of room to take advantage of if we do end up trading below that area. All right, guys. So those would be our ideas for gold. From an economic data standpoint, we don't really have much to be on the lookout this week. But let me see. I see someone raised their hand. Let me see if anybody has any questions. Awododa, oh, requested to speak. Unfortunately, I can't let anybody speak. But if you have any questions, you can always just type them out, and I'll be happy to answer them. But if nobody has any more questions, then we'll go ahead and call it a stream there. Carlos, Aresh, if you guys can stay on the Zoom for just a second after I end this, I would appreciate it. If not, it's all good. But let me see. Can you go over SPX and US30? We'll do SPX alone because I believe last week I didn't look at SPX at all, to be honest with you. I haven't been as active on the charts, but mainly been looking at gold. But okay, we'll do a quick top-down analysis on SPX. It does seem like overall price is still pretty bullish, like on the daily time frame. Yeah, it looks like it. So we'll go ahead and delete some of these zones here, so that way we can mark them off together. But let's go ahead and do some top-down analysis here. So we have our daily resistance on SPX around the 59.77s, and then we do have this new support that was created, which, as you can see, both these levels, the support and the resistance, if you look at the left, they both align with a previous level. So this is a previous level, as we can see here, and then this is also a previous level, as we can see right there. So those are some good zones right there to possibly have. I'm going to assume there's going to be a zone around this area as well, where we can see price if we zoom in, having some sensitivity around this area and exactly where this daily candle closed. Obviously, there was not much trading today, at least on my part, because it was Memorial Day. But now we're back to it. This resistance right here makes sense. This resistance makes sense as well. This is going to be the one that I'm going to circle out just to see kind of where price is sitting on the 1 hour around that area. Because this on the 4 hour, it seems to me like it was a fake out because we do have price closing below, but then closing back above and then pretty much just staying above that area, right? So let's see on the 1 hour what that looks like. Yeah, I would rather leave it like that. I would leave it as it is. And if anything, I'm going to go ahead and mark this off as an area of interest. Why? Because again, you see a strong buying reaction off of this area. And in the past, you do see some sort of sensitivity around this area as well. Just like you see right here, just a little bit lower, if anything. Can mark that off a little bit lower, just around there. So we do have some sensitivity, price sensitivity around this zone. And then we do have some sensitivity also just around these lows, in my opinion. So now with this analysis marked off, again, let's look at this quickly. We have daily time frames showing us that buyers are more in control because we do have price creating high, and a low. So we know below this low is where we have to be on the lookout for any sort of sellers stepping into the market. Anything above that, just like we were doing on gold, would be more ideal to just be on the lookout for buyers. So we have that there. That looks good. Just in case price does decide to do a pullback overall, in my opinion. Yes, you can adapt to some short-term sells, like if price does get below the 58, 51s, obviously during New York session. Maybe be on the lookout for some short-term sells, but overall, I would prefer to just be on the lookout for further buys on the stock market. Again, only be on the lookout for sells if price does start to trade below this area, where overall I'm just personally going to be on the lookout for buys. But again, to each their own, and that would be our analysis for SPX. Let me see this one more time. Yeah, above 58, above the 58.80s would make a lot of sense because you can see it's where price kind of like we're having this pullback right now, right? But if we do get above that 58.80, the 58.80s, then we know that overall we could just continue bullish. But once we start to get below, or sorry, once we start to get like below these lows, since we are rejecting right now around this area, that's why I keep saying like, yeah, be on the lookout in case you do see some short-term corrections down to the 57.90s and down even lower to the 57.30s, more or less. All right, guys. So that would be it for both gold and SPX. We ended up doing both analysis. But as always, guys, I appreciate your time. Thank you guys for showing up. And I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here. Thank you, sir. No, I appreciate you guys. No problem, man.